Hello everyone. So here we are back again with the next chapter, that is the area. So in this section we will be mostly focusing on finding the area of sectors, but before that we will be doing a recap or like reviewing how to find areas of plane figures. So just to give you a heads up, how to find the area of a rectangle, its length multiplied by the breadth. And when it comes to the square, it's the same thing, but since in a square all the sides are equal, we can just say that it's length of a side times length of a side, or length of side squared. And when it comes to the parallelogram, it's basically base multiplied by the altitude, but we need to focus, or we be very mindful of when finding the altitude. Sometimes, just to confuse you, they might give you a question where the altitude, they can give you just this height as well, just to show that this is a height, but you have to be mindful that you take the height from the base. So we take this h over here, and triangle is similar to a parallelogram. It's like half of it. Half of a parallelogram forms a triangle, so it's half times base times altitude. And when you talk about the trapezium, it's half times sum of the lengths of the parallel sides. So when you look at a trapezium, you have a pair of parallel sides, so you have to add them together and multiply by the altitude. Altitude again is the height, or the perpendicular height between the two parallel lines. So that's how you get the area of the trapezium. And when you talk about the circle, it's pi r squared. So pi being 22 over 7, or 3.14, and radius, you will have it sometimes they give you the diameter. So let's remember that two radius together form one diameter. So we have the review exercise, which has a combination of questions from finding the area of squares, rectangle, triangle, parallelogram, and trapezium, circle, and all of that. So we will just work on one of these questions, question 3, where they're telling us the figure denotes a trapezium of area 33 centimeters squared that has been formed by joining two triangles together. Find the area of the triangle which is shaded. Now we need to find the area of the triangle that is shaded, and we know that the total area is 33. So for that we can find the area of this triangle, which is half times 7 times 6. So when you do that, half times 7 times 6, you can divide 6 by 2. So that makes it 3, because half of 6 is 3. So 7 times 3 will give us 21. So now we know that this part is 21. So for our final answer, we can say it's 33 subtract 21, which will give us the answer of 12 centimeters squared. So let's not forget, we need to add the centimeter squared, or meter squared in this case. That will be our unit, and that way we can figure out this answer here. Moving on to area of a sector of a circle. So we know that what exactly is a sector. We did do that when we did in the perimeter lesson. So if two radius form, like a pizza slice is a sector, but in case if you draw a chord, you will be getting a segment and not a sector. So this forms a segment, that's not a sector. So to find the area of a circle, we know it's pi r squared, and if it's a semicircle, though this is a chord or diameter, we can still say there are two radius because it's from the center. So we say it's it's a sector as well. So to find the area of the semicircle, there you have half pi r squared. If it's a quarter circle, you can say, or 90 degrees, we can say quarter over pi r squared. So basically what you need to focus on is when you have an angle, just like how we did to find the perimeter, theta over 360 times 2 pi r is for perimeter, and here, since we're talking about area, it's pi r squared. So looking at the examples that we have, like example 1 here is find the area of the sector in the following figure. We have the angle which is 45, so 45 over 360 times pi r squared. So pi is 22 over 7, and we can do the division here. We can divide 45 and 360 by 9. So 9 times 5 is 45, and 9 times 4 is 36. So we write 4, and since we have a 0, we put that, so 40. 5 and 40 we can divide by 5, so 5 times 1 and 40 times 8. So that's like a simplification. So now we have the fraction as 1 over 8, and 7 times 1 and 7 times 2, we have this as 2 here. So basically we have this, we can divide this 8 and 2 also, so 2 times 1, and that can make it 4. And we know that 14 can be divided by 2 again. So 14, and this is 7, this is 2 again. 2 can be divided by, and 22 divided by 2 is 11. So basically we just remain with 11 times 7, which is 77. If you find this cancelling method difficult, you can definitely opt for a different method as well, whatever is convenient for you at that place. And looking at this example 2, that is when the area of the sector area is given and you need to find the corresponding radius where they've given us the angle as well. So basically 40 over 360 times pi r squared is equal to 17 whole 1 over 9. Let's remember, just because we see this 1 over 9 and 1 over 9, we cannot cancel them off because this is a part of a fraction and this is the part of this equation itself. So what we have to do first is we have to convert this mixed fraction into an improper fraction. So to do that, we multiply 17 by 9 and then we add 1. So that will give you 154 over 9. And now we can, after we do the conversion, then we can divide or cancel off these 9s. Why we can do that is because to subject r squared, we have 154. We take the denominators to the other side as the numerators. So basically it's divided by 9 and 7, but when it goes to the other side, it becomes multiplied by 9 and 7. So that's why it's 154 times 9 times 7 over, we already had a 9 for 154 over 9. So we write that 9 down, and the 22, which is a numerator, comes down as a denominator. So that's how this works. So we have 154 times 9 times 7 over 9 over 22. And here we can cancel off these 9s. So 154 times 7 divided by 22. We can do a simplification or a small division over here, where we divide 22 by 2, so that gives us 11. And dividing 15 by 154 by 2, 15 divided by 2 is 7, 1 remainder. We have 14 again, 2 times 7 gives us 14. 77 divided by 11 is 7. So 7 times 7 is basically 49. So we need to find the square root of 49 to get r, because r squared is 49. So to remove the squared, we have to put the square root. So square root of 49 is 7. That's how we got the radius equals 7 centimeters. And then we have a few questions where the first one, they've asked you to find the area. Second one, they've given you the area and the radius, and they want you to find the angles. Third one is where they've given you the area and the angle, and they want you to find the radius. Moving to the next part, it's like plane figures containing sectors of circles. This is where two or more sectors are put together, or two plane figures are combined together to form a shape, and we need to find the area. For the example 1, they are telling us the following denotes a plane figure consisting of a square and a semicircle, and you have to find its area. So to do that, we have to find the area of a square, which is 14 times 14, which will give you 196 centimeters squared. And then you have to find the area of this semicircle, which is half pi r squared. So another thing that we have to look into this is, let's remember, we are not adding the radius like we used to do when we found the perimeter. In this case, there's no need to add the radius at the end. So 196 is done, and half times pi r squared. So they've done the simplification over here. They've cancelled off the 7 and the 7, and 2 times 1, 2 times 11 is 22. So we are left with 11 times 7, which is 77. And now we add 196 and 77 to give us the answer 273 centimeters squared. So looking at example 2, that's somewhat similar to what we just did. In this case, they have a rectangle and two sectors of using the same angle. They have 30 degrees as the angle, and the radius is 7 as well. So for that, we have to first find the area of the rectangle. So 10 times 7 is 70, and finding the area of a sector, that's 30 over 360 pi r squared. So 22 over 7 times 7 times 7. So 7 and 7 can be cancelled off again. 0 and 0 we can divide. 3 and 36 we can divide. So 3 times 1 and 3 times 12. So when you do this part again, 12 and 22 can be divided by 2. So that will be 11 and 6 basically. So 11 times 7 is 77, and denominator 6. Now that will give you the area of one sector, but you have another sector with the same angle and the same radius. Hence, we can just multiply the answer that we got by 2. So when you're multiplying by 2, that's basically you can simplify 2 and 6. So that will give you 3 as your denominator, 77 over 3. And when you convert that into a mixed number, you have 25 wholes 2 over 3. To convert a number to a mixed number, it's dividing 77 by 3. So when you divide 77 by 3, you get, so 7 divided by 3 is 2 here with 1 remainder, and then you have 15, that is 3 times 5 is 15. So 25 wholes, 2 remainder, 25 whole comes here, the remainder comes as the numerator, and 3 goes as the denominator itself. So 77 centimeter squared, add 25 whole 2/3. So you add the whole numbers together, that will give you 95 whole 2/3. So that's pretty much it with that example, and let's move to the example 3. Now this is a little different example than the previous two examples, because here we are not going to add, instead we are going to subtract. And why we're doing that is because the sector is drawn inside the rectangle, and they've asked us to find the shaded portion. So to do that, like in the previous questions, the sectors were outside and we needed to find the area of the entire compound figure. So here we need to find the area of the rectangle, 20 times 7, which is 140, and to find the area of the sector, 90 over 360, which is 1 over 4, times 22 over 7 times 7 times 7, because here the radius is very clear, it's 7 itself. So when they do the simplification, you can see, like you can cut off the 0 and 0, 9 and 36 can be divided, 9 times 1, 9 times 4, so 1 over 4, we note that there. 7 and 7 can be cancelled off, we can divide by 2. So that's 11, and this is 2. So 11 times 7 is 77. 77 divided by 2 is 38.5. In this case, it's easier to convert it into a decimal rather than leaving it as a fraction, because we need to do a subtraction. So 140 minus 38.5 would give us the answer 101.5 centimeters squared. So that's basically how we work out this question here. And with that, we can work out exercise 6.2, which have questions where you have to find the area, where you've got to add, where you've got to subtract. But that's the main part of figuring it out, what you have to do at what point. And this, once we are done with this part, actually combining area and perimeter together, you will have a question in your O-level past papers where, like, this question mostly comes in paper 1 part B. So we are in grade 10 chapter 6, but we are able to answer two major questions in the past papers itself. One is fractions and the other one is area and perimeter. So maybe in the next upcoming videos you will see where we will combine a few questions together with fractions and areas, area and perimeter, and do a recap. So until then, hoping to see you like very soon. Bye bye. So don't forget to like, subscribe and share it. So thank you for joining. Have a nice day. Bye.